start? Or shall we wait a few minutes?
I guess we wait a few minutes to have more attendance.
Yeah.
I think we can start, Kai.
Yeah, sure.
And so thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending this webinar. Kai, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself, and then I'll go. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kai Steinberg. I work as a Microsoft MVP and a Copilot SME in Capgemini, and I have been with Capgemini for the last 15 months and has been working as an IT consultant for the last 25 years approximately. And most of my day I work with Copilot governance, data readiness, get organization up and running into speed by using Copilot and other Gen AI models out there. And I also run a podcast here in Norway named the Teams Castaway. And I also travel around in different scenarios and speak on community events and events kind of like this as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kai. So my name is Kais Lizzie. I'm co-founder and managing director at Teams Fox, and it's great to have you all here. So Kai, today our topic is around agentic AI and the need for governance to do agentic AI right. Yeah. Now I'll start with a question, a general question. How do you see, before we dive into agents and agentic AI, how do you see Microsoft 365 Copilot evolving? And what role do you see it playing in today's modern workplace and in future?
Yeah, what I see is that M365 Copilot is actually evolving quite fast, while some might argue that it lags or has been a bit outdated compared to other modules. But from my perspective, Microsoft is progressing and at a commendable pace. They give these new reasoning models positions Microsoft Copilot as a preferred expert in various domains. Of course, M365 has been done a significant impact for different organizations. And as Microsoft states, and which you probably have heard a lots of time, is that Copilot is the UI for the AI. And that is quite correct. And I think the new tools that we have seen from Microsoft, the researcher and the analyst, and I have used them quite often myself and lately. And the way they produce and do deep analysis or deep research in some topics, I think they are just brilliant. And I see that organizations that take the advantage of going the whole way with the M365 Copilot, I think they will look in a way to get the more and extraordinary capabilities in the environment that is now rolling out. And as Microsoft has said, there are more than 200 Copilots out there in different variations. So I think it's a huge impact.
Great. So what are the most valuable use cases that Copilot enables today? And do you see organizations beginning to benefit from these use cases and achieving tangible results?
Yeah, from my point of view and my experience that I have seen around when talking to companies about it, I see that often when people are sharing their good prompts, that's quite important. Because if someone finds out something really smart to ask Copilot about, and these are often shared by, for example, applications or by Prompt Central, which is a tool, for example, or you can develop your own tools to share, or you can also use Microsoft's Copilot labs to share these internally, or just build a site for it in Viva Engage, for example. And one of the things that we see is the low-hanging fruits, like summary long email threads, rewriting documents. For example, if you are supposed to answer a client with an offer, for example, rolling out Copilot, just to take an example, you can, for example, take 3 or different documents and make them into a one document. This is quite low-hanging fruits, and this is what I see quite often when it comes to Copilot. I also seen that clients in, for example, Capgemini, that we have saved a lot of time. One client that I was with a couple of weeks ago, when we asked them after they had started to using Copilot for M365, they told us that they saved up to 2 hours per week per user. And when you then look at the ROI for where the price is about 30 euros or $30 per month, that is not a bad investment. It's quite easy to calculate and to see. And of course, remember, in every product that you give to your employees, please repeat and have continuous learning so that they remember. We are now soon going into holiday season and people go off for vacation and so on. And when they come back, run an remembering session for using Copilot so that they don't forget that they have this tool.
Yeah. So how do you see Copilot being a leap forward or transformative step for Microsoft 365 compared to previous productivity tools?
Yeah, one of the many things I see is using Copilot to help you start, for example, a document or a presentation. It can be a brainstormer go-to tool so that you can start spinning your idea. The way Copilot, for example, in Word, it can help you rewrite and create new documents based on others. As I mentioned in my previous answer, you can take different documents and make them together. And that makes the sales process quite easier. I think that in a long perspective, we will see that, for example, autonomous agents that are based on answering bid processes, create RFI, RFPs, and other sales documents will be very handful to use these types of agent. And of course, I have always said it, and I will say it again, and you will probably be a bit tired of it. Remember the human in the loop. Remember that. There are lots of examples where that goes really bad because they haven't. But also, since M365 just works with your company data, you can limit that. And then you will get quite faster to find information in different sites, in different areas, and so on. I heard someone said that Copilot is just another search engine, and that they could, for example, use advanced SharePoint functionality instead, or search. But from my point of view, then you haven't figured what this Copilot for M365 actually is. Microsoft, as I mentioned, has more than 200 agents, and it still grows. As you probably have seen, you have got also Copilot in Notepad for some reason. I haven't figured that out yet, but yeah. And it makes your apps and find all the information that you need very fast. And yeah.
Very good. So you see that this the price of approximately $30 per user per month is justified, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because when you start to look at this model Microsoft has and you interview the users, you will see that learning and by using it, they will save a lot of time. And the best thing that we have seen is that we have seen that depending on if it's a large organization or it's a small organization, we ask the same questions. We ask the users to, can you please tell us how much efficient your day is? And it scales from 1 hour to 2 hours per week per user. And if you have an organization and you have 700 users, that 30 euros is a no-brainer. And then, of course, there are some programs in Microsoft, of course, where you can also get most of these trainings for free if you qualify for it.
Okay, very good. So let's talk about agents. Can you explain to us what the concept of an agent is and how it fits into the Microsoft 365 ecosystem in real-world scenarios?
Yeah, what I see is that a Copilot agent is an help for you so that you can base your prompt and it can do all your action. A Copilot agent is on work 24/7, 365. It never goes to lunch. It doesn't go to company parties and everything. So yeah. And what it actually can do is that, for example, it can supervise or monitor an email account. You can, for example, if you on your web page has a form to fill out for customers to contact you, it can handle that response, and it can also answer your customer based on this response in a polite way. For example, you can, for example, have a form where you fill out your name, your email address, and the questions. For example, questions about products. Instead of calling the company, you can have this agent that will check with the product database and also can reply with list prices, for example, and it will automatically send an email back to your customer without having human in the loop involved, because it can be so basic questions. We have also seen that you can also build agents in SharePoint. You can either use Agent Builder or Copilot Studio. You can access different SharePoint sites. And of course, you will see these connectors. You can use Graph, or you can use Power Platform to build Flow, Power Automate to handle things based on requests and so on. And all this will make some of this routine work a bit more easy. And it also can improve your customer service. So this is a thing that I see lots of time. I have been in lots of meetings with clients who want to start this road.
Very good. So how intelligent are these agents today, and how context aware are they? And are there any limitations that IT teams should be aware of?
Yeah, first of all, get control of your user access. User access is everything. Then you try to see what it should have access to. Do you think that the Copilot agent should have access to, for example, restricted or confidential documents to build its knowledge? It might, in some ways. It probably could, but many businesses that I see that build their agents are using or moving documents that is restricted and confidentials away from Copilot so that Copilot can't access it. Because if you don't have control of your user rights, so you need to have a clean house. And this is very hard for organizations that has been out there for a long time. But one other thing that we see is that we need to be aware of is that old data. If you have old data, Copilot will have access to it. So we need to clean all this out. And it is intelligent in a way where you can, depending on the knowledge that you gives it. But as always, you must verify what it actually produces. Because if it's an agent that only has access to a certain SharePoint site, it will have access to the whole SharePoint site. So we need to have control of that. That is one thing. If you give it access to internet at the same time, well, you don't have any verification. You need to verify. And this is why you should be aware of the security and how we're going to build that. We're going to get back on that a bit later on today. But I think they're pretty smart here.
Thank you. Okay, so on data readiness, how can organizations get Copilot ready? How can they get their data Copilot ready?
Yeah, Copilot ready data refers to data that is optimized for use with AI and Copilot and so on.
Yeah.
We must have order in our own house. Data must be structured and clean. Using, for example, labels, adding those sensitivity labels, data loss protections helps AI to understand your data. And of course, you need to keep your data up to date so it can actually work with the current data and not the old data. I've seen lots of things around. I have seen organizations that had, for example, 97,000 SharePoint sites. And when we start to dig into that project, we saw that 40,000 sites hasn't been used in 3 years. So we had this tremendous archiving job before we actually could start to implement it. And that comes because for M365, Copilot will have access to what you as a user has access to.
So this takes us to the point with ROT data, redundant, obsolete, trivial data. How can that data, these, for instance, non-utilized SharePoint sites, affect the performance of Copilot?
Yeah, let's start with investigating a little about the negative effects of ROT data. Increase storage cost. ROT data consumes unnecessary storage space, leading to higher cost for data management and storage infrastructure. It can reduce efficiency. It creates noise if data sets, and it makes it harder for Copilot to find the relevant information. As always, keep a clean house and security risks. By keeping absolute trivial data, it will increase the risk of data breaches and cyber attacks, as it may contain outdated security measures, and of course compliance issues, GDPR or CCPA, which requires proper data management and delegations of necessary data. Mitigating these issues, you can implement robust data governance practices, including regular data audits, automated data cleaning, archiving, as I mentioned, for example, process and clean policies for data retention and deletions. I've seen lots of data retention policies out there. For one company I was, there had this for email, for example, 7 days. Then it starts to clean up. So you had to archive your email, otherwise it would be deleted. So look at these types of policies. Some have 10 years, some have 3 years, but build an ecosystem around it. Then I think you will be good.
Very good. Very good. So how can we improve data quality in case we have, let's say, misleading Copilot responses? How can we avoid these negative scenarios?
Yeah, poor data quality can indeed lead to misleading or irrelevant responses from Copilot. That I've seen a lot. This is because Copilot relies heavily on data it accesses and to generate an accurate and relevant answers. If the data is outdated, incomplete or incorrect, it will reflect these issues. To avoid this, we can implement some strategies. Regular data, update and ensure that the data are regularly updated. So remove old versions. If you have, for example, in a SharePoint site, version 1, version 2, version 3, find the current one and remove the others. Data governance, implement robust data governance practices. For example, TeamsFox has this tool to get the dashboard that you will need. Clear prompts. Use clear prompts, specific language when interacting with the Copilot to minimize risks and so on, and so that the prompts are very clear. Use reference guide from Microsoft if you want to see how to build a prompt. There are 4 elements in that, so look it up and you can all figure out how to build these good prompts. Finally, training and best practices. Train your team how they effectively can use Copilot and how curate external data sources carefully.
Very good. Thank you. So if we talk a bit more in details about the data security and the oversharing risks.
Yeah.
Now we understand there is a risk that Copilot can surface data that was not meant to be widely seen by everyone. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on that and explain the oversharing risks related to Copilot?
Yeah, there are several factors to consider. First, we have misconfigured permissions, which means Copilot will get access to information that it shouldn't have access to. For example, if you have been working in a company and you have changed department, and your old user rights or privileges hasn't been removed, which is quite often. I have asked around it and seen that lots of people think they have control. When you ask that question, you will see, oh, I didn't have control of my data. Then Copilot will have access to your old data and your new role as well. So starts there. Then data aggregation. It will have the ability to synthesize information from various sources. This can sometimes lead to unintended and exposure of confidential data. So if you have files that is confidential or restricted, check stored in a SharePoint site where lots of people have this info access, check with the site manager. Is it okay that the document is there, or should it be removed or transferred to another place? Then, if you have lack of governance, with robust data governance and practices, there is a high risk of oversharing and data breaches. So often when we talk about over and undersharing, how is this important to get control of? It can be easy. You can get these reports. You can, for example, that we did for one client here in Norway, we created a form for all the users that got access to Copilot to report if they found something. As I mentioned, the customer had 97,000 sites, so it was quite big. And then they will fill in this report, and then IT department or the security department will look into it and contact the site owner to get this mitigated. That is a good way to do it. And of course, implement data loss policies. For example, you can use Microsoft Purview, and you will see that since it's designed for Azure, for M365 and so on, and you will soon find out that it will be your best friend. Regular access reviews needs to be performed, training and awareness, and you cannot give the users enough training on the security element. It has to be there, spinning around repeatedly.
Okay, very good. So can you share with us some real-world examples where lack of governance has led to serious exposure of data to Copilot? Anything you can think of?
Yeah, there have been lots of things where things has gone wrong. There was this company that has an S3 bucket in AWS. They got that exposed so that everyone in the company could access 3 terabyte of data by just logging into the service, which included also personal information about employees and business operations. Not everyone should read that type of documents. And we have also seen other things. We have seen lots of hallucinations and much more. But it all comes to general poor data governance. So if you have poor data governance, it will pose or can pose significant risks to any organization. A lack of appropriate labeling policies can lead Copilot to exposing sensitive data in its response. So thereby violating and compliance regulations. And always use labeling. If you haven't used it before, start by labeling SharePoint sites. Then build policies. Say, for example, you can't send an email without labeling the email. You can't save a document without labeling it. You had to think about what is the document or the email included before you're sending it. So build these regulations for the users.
Very clear. So you have already touched base on Purview.
Yeah.
Are there any other possibilities for organizations to limit or control access to what Copilot can see and can work with?
Yeah, I mentioned Microsoft Purview. It will help organizations by using data loss protections and, of course, prevent unauthorized access. You will see, for example, in a Copilot agent, if the document is secured or labeled with sensitivity labels, it will get a mark when Copilot finds it. So you are aware of it. That's one thing. Data policies allows IT administrators to permit or restrict access to specific, for example, Power Platform connectors, preventing use of unauthorized data sources. Regular access reviews will of course have control over these user accesses and handle it with care. As I mentioned, Copilot will help you with these data loss protections policies. So I think that's one of the things that I have seen a lot. There are lots of other tools out there, depending on which platform you are on. You can, for example, do docs or something, if I don't remember the name correctly, that can be used in the same way of making these data loss protections policies. So that could be quite interesting to look into, which are for Google and that area. Yeah.
Very good. So what's, in your view, the take on the balance between enabling productivity and enforcing strict access controls?
Some users might think that having strict access might slow you down. I, working in a large company, Capgemini, we are almost 380,000 employees all around the globe.
Okay.
We have quite strict policies, quite locked down computers. But by admin requests and so on, I think it works quite efficiently. When you are, for example, working in a strict environment, well, then you get more awareness of the security. What to use and what not to use. Shadow IT, we all know about that. Having a policy that tells you, for example, which or what AI models you can use for work and which you can't, and then you don't get shadow AI. But the policy needs to be crystal clear. Gartner has a report on the M365 Copilot that can be a good place to start and also to read about. And of course, training to reduce the risk of data exposure.
Very good. Let's speak about best practices for organization readiness. So you talked about a few things we can do. What other policies can be put in place or governance pillars could be put in place to further ready the environment for Copilot?
Yeah, first of all, we need to start with access management. Use RBAC to set up the role-based access control to ensure proper authentication mechanisms. Then data policies. Data loss protection is the key element. How data is accessed, shared, and stored. What about labeling? Well, I have mentioned it several times. Use it. Make it mandatory. Lifecycle policies. Establish policies for lifecycle management, both for Copilot agent and for data. This includes creating guidelines for creating and maintenance and decommission of Copilot agents. If a Copilot agent isn't in use, decommission it. There can be some reasons for that people don't use it because data can be outdated. Someone has created a better agent. So take it out, remove it. Governance framework. Develop a comprehensive governance framework that outlines the roles, responsibilities, and process for managing Copilot in your organization.
And is that IT's role or is it the end user's role?
I think it's the IT's role. IT need to build these procedures and this framework, and the user role in this is to be top educated on these processes. So it's a little mix there, but IT need to build these processes together, for example, with an CISO and then implement it out in the organization.
Very good. And what other misconceptions are there that was going to be that are there related to preparing organizations for Copilot? There are the myths out there. Huh?
I've seen lots of organization that plans to take out or starts to use Copilot in different ways. One of the things is that they look at Copilot as a chatbot. We need to start with the stakeholders about the capabilities of Copilot. The next is that many think it requires expensive IT expertise. Provide training and user adoptions for the users and stakeholders. Next, look at the corporate data. Is it safe? Copilot is not trained on corporate data, but as always, this security team must be included in the development process. So when you think about large enterprises, that is only for the large enterprises, but Copilot is scalable. It's suitable for all sizes. I have implemented Copilot for an organization with 20 users and 20,000 users. It's you just need to find your cases for it. But not all types of coworkers is actually need Copilot in their work. Is it expensive? Depends on the usage. As I mentioned, you can save as much as 2 hours per week. Microsoft has lots of figures about it. So mentioning an hour and a half. And when you look at this together, you will see that it actually pays its costs, even it has a cost. You can drive, and my recommendation is continuous training and education of users. Stakeholders, engage IT security. If you don't have an IT security department, if you are a small organization, you don't have it, you probably have outsourced IT. Talk to your partners and get clear communications about what Copilot can do for your organization, how its benefits, and also check out the security measures and speak to stakeholders regarding all these kind of technologies. And it's very important that when you start to look at it, secure your data. That's always hitting you back.
Very good. So to summarize, what are the 3 top recommendations that our guests here and that the community in general should take away when they're going for a Copilot rollout?
The first thing I would do is that I would start to try to figure out the business cases. Find out what it can do for you. Copilot isn't for every organization, but check your data, check your optimization, check all the security parts. Invest in, for example, Microsoft Intune for client security. Then, of course, invest in tools for data protection. Use money on these tools. Then, of course, build security. When you have the security in place, then you can start roll out a pilot group, for example, with Copilot. It sounds a little bit strange. Maybe you're going to have Copilot with a pilot group, lots of pilots, but do that. Do not involve, for example, IT in Copilot, a Copilot project, except for the security. Don't let IT be the main users in an early pilot, because IT will test IT stuff on it. That's good. But what we actually need is to get the user cases. And IT can ask, how is this routine for IT? Well, good for IT, but not for the rest of the organization, for the financials, for marketing, for sales, and so on. They are not so into this IT things that IT is doing. But take, for example, one person in IT, not the whole department. Often when you see projects that involves IT, IT is one of the primary users at the beginning. But involve all the users in the organization that can or will provide information about it. Then, of course, monitor the usage. Have probably strict policies. I've seen organizations saying that if a user don't use Copilot and it lasts for a long period, then take away his license, give it to someone else that's demanding it. Build kind of a system that you have to apply for the license. You have to tell us why you want to use it, what it can benefit you, and then share out the license that way. If you go for the whole bang or big bang, rolling out lots of to everyone in the organization, then you don't have to ask that questions. But some organizations are quite big and they want to test it in small groups, and then they have these kind of systems where you have to ask for it.
Excellent. Thank you, Kai. That was very valuable. Thank you for all these insights. I'd like to share some practical advice now on how to deal with Copilot in production. And for that purpose, I'm going to share my screen and be more concrete about some of the recommendations that you just made. So I'm going to do that based on the platform TeamsFox that we have developed, which is essentially a Microsoft 365 managing platform, managing different aspects of the Microsoft environment. I'll focus on what is relevant for Copilot, and what's relevant for Copilot is here on this main screen. First of all, the attempt to answer the question whether the environment is ready for Copilot, i.e. Is the environment data ready and is the environment secure? So classifying data in ROT and reliable data, and then uncovering if there is any oversharing and trying to fix that. In this example, 147,000 files are overshared. They're exposed in organization-wide links and private teams, so we can safely assume that this is oversharing that has to be fixed. Before going to the readiness, though, I wanted to share a few screens on trying to answer the question which many organizations are asking today: who are our most likely adopters of Copilot? So if we have like trial licenses for Copilot, say we get 100 licenses for an organization with 1,000 employees, who should get that? And this screen here tries to answer that question. So it tells us that, for instance, in France, we'll have the most likely users, followed by US, and it's the finance department that is going to most likely use Copilot. That's based on user activity that has been recorded in the environment. The second question we'd like to answer is about agents, and Microsoft APIs have been exposing some data around the agents, so we can understand how many agents are in the environment. Are they pre-built or custom agents? Who are our agent creators? And you see in this environment, the number of agents has been growing over time as more and more users are starting to adopt and create their own agents. Now, let's talk briefly about the oversharing problem. So I'm in the governance model and the risk management model, and I see that there are 40 teams with organization-wide access. So that's one area you were referring to as a potential risk to be addressed. So if we go in the details, we found these 40 teams, and I see, okay, in this team here, I have 67,000 files that are overshared. What can I do? I can click here, I can go take actions, I can remove the sharing link, right? And by that, I can actually kill the sharing problem, but with it, maybe I stop sharing all the files now. So that would probably is not, let's say, the purpose of the end user. Some shared links need still to be continued to be shared. So what we can do on that, I'll go back to my screen. So I can go into the files themselves. And if I have the knowledge about that, then I can safely, okay, click one or two links and say, okay, for those links here, I want to remove the sharing, or I can actually delegate the work of removing this oversharing to the end user via my Teams Fox. That is, and let's say in summary, what we can do on the oversharing topic in Teams Fox. The same can be done for SharePoint, same can be done for OneDrive, which are also sources for oversharing. The other area that is you touched on and that is very important is identifying ROT data. And in this screen, we see how the environment has been screened for ROT data. We notice that 33% of data here corresponding to 27 terabytes are ROT. So we need to go and look into that and see whether we can reduce that amount of ROT data. So if we go deeper in the details, we see, for instance, on Teams, there are 522,000 redundant files and 650,000 obsolete files and so on. Now I'd like to, beyond going into and understanding the number of files that need to be fixed, we can also give the administrators here the possibility to fix the problem. How can they do that? We can go into SharePoint redundant files, and we see here, okay, those files here are redundant. Why? Because, for instance, for this file here, there are up 200 versions. Now, why is that the case? Because when we open a file and close it in Teams or SharePoint on OneDrive, we can create up to 500 versions. So what we can do here, we can click and clean file versions, and that will reduce the number of file versions to 5 or 10 or 20. That's a configuration parameter you can set in Teams Fox. You can also delegate this work to the end user using my Teams Fox if you wish to. And by doing this exercise regularly, let's say once a month, you can reduce drastically the administrators can reduce drastically the number of ROT files in the environment. So as you see, we have, let's say, try to provide practical responses to the topics you have raised. Some of our customers are successfully preparing their environments for Copilot with the help of Teams Fox. So any questions from anyone or any comment, Kai, from you?
No, I think your tool is very useful regarding the security, and yeah, I really liked it.
Very good. So I'd like to ask the audience any questions? All right, no questions. So thank you all for attending this webinar and looking forward to seeing you in our next webinars. Thank you, Kai.
Thank you.
Great day, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.